Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Let me see who was here first. Elaine Parker. Oh, faithful. Thank you so much for being here first. You get a bell for that. Let's see. Carlene Beckford, Black Queen, Pullover Girls, Sussex Spotlight, and a host of friends and others. How about that? Okay. Oh, let me grab my slides so we can get going. I bees in the jail. 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 Oh well, you know, as a African American, I know um, what it's like. The system. That's what it is. You just blame the system. uh, okay. Welcome to Royal Sussex Saturday Night Live, or I couldn't think of a title. Happy Africa Day. The 25th of May is Africa Day. So, this is a day to celebrate, reflect, learn some history. Yeah, it's Africa Day. Didn't know that, did you? I never miss it. That is one um international observance that I never miss out on is Africa Day. As a matter of fact, I was just saying the other day um, how terrible it is that people overlook it. So now that you know, put it in your calendar. There's no excuses now. Put it in your calendar. Happy Africa Day. So, um, okay. Anyways, let me see. Let me go on here. So, of course, that is the motherland, the birthplace of all humanity. And as you can see, just like the piece in the puzzle, there is a little piece that seems to have broken off of that continental plate, and that is called Madagascar. But you can see the various flags that represent the motherland. It's I think Africa has more nations, per square meter, mile, or whatever, than I think any other continent, right? Uh, and also the thousands of languages. And right there is Mother Africa herself. Say hi to mom. And check it out. He's got the whole world in his hands. I remember that song from my youth. And of course, right here, one of the reasons why there are so many uh, other people in Africa is because Africa is mineral rich. The largest gold site in discovery in Africa, according to international media, the deposits of the precious mineral was found in northeastern Uganda near the border with Kenya. Primarily estimates speak of about 30 million tons of reserves of semi pure gold, of which only 300,000 tons would correspond with high purity gold. It is worth noting that about 3,000 tons of refined gold are mined every year in mines around the world. So, this new deposit represents 100 times more than all the annual global production. This gigantic deposit would also surpass all the gold that human beings have extracted from the earth in 6,000 years of history. 197,000 tons as of today, these 300,000 tons of refined gold would be valued at, oh, let's see, is that 12 trillion? Is that trillion half of the GDP of the United States? Yeah, I think that's about $12 trillion. Wow. Wow. That is a lot of gold. That is a lot of gold. Mm, okay. Oh, you're welcome, Blue Draws. You're welcome. Yeah, I feel like these public service announcements are all part of it. Now, one person who seems to be more attached to Africa than anybody is Williams of Wales, the Prince of Wales. Prince William pushes population control in Africa. The increasing pressure on Africa's wildlife and wild spaces are a result of human population presents a huge challenge for conservationists. Really? Really? Oh, you know what? I'm about through with you. I am about through with you. If he's not saying something stupid, he's doing something stupid. And if he ain't doing something stupid, he's thinking of something stupid to say. Sometimes I just want to say to him,
Hey girl, sit down. Sit down. Sit down.
I tell you, Willie Leaks know how to work people's nerves. Remember, he said to Harry, Africa is mine. Yours for what? Exactly what do you have planned for Africa? As though Africa wouldn't actually function or exist without you. I hope you guys have taken notice of the fact that I took the lectern where he's standing and replaced whatever silly thing that was there. I put that famous image of the, um, what is that? The OBE, Order of the British Empire. I replaced it with that. I was being, a little shady. That is what you see there. If this, the fact that I think they still use this. I think they still use this. Using the image of St. George or San Michel, depending on which one you choose, defeating a black man. That is exactly what it means. That they have gone out into the world to, you know, anyway, Africa Day is a good day to remember that there are sovereign nations in Africa who does not need this outside input or intervention, that they are able to stand on their own. Now, I'm sorry, Prince William says human population growth in Africa is harming wildlife. The growth of the human population presents a huge challenge for conservationists in Africa. Now, if you all recall, William told volunteers that Britain and the rest of Europe were united behind them and spoke of the shock of seeing war on European soil. Did he go to college? What did they teach him in St. Andrews, especially since he majored in geography? You don't learn geography without learning history, I don't think. He said Britons were more used to seeing conflict in Africa and Asia. It's very alien to see this in Europe. We are all behind you, he said, but he added that he, like many, wanted to do more to help. We feel so useless, he said. You are useless, I say. And of course, his best friend, Omid Scobie, was very quick to share that in a tweet. But it gets better. It gets better because I know you all remember this, but I like to share it as much as possible because it exposes the lunacy that is William.
I'm sorry we can only come and give words and comfort, but we are thinking about you the whole time and we really care about what's going on. So
sometimes it does more than financial.
well, if we can give you the odd smile here and there, that's important. So
So I do have that. But you know what you can't find? You cannot find William saying the words that you see circled there. And we know he said it because I believe it was Richard Palmer who went along as the what do you call it? The pool reporter, a veteran reporter himself. And if he said that that's what he said, then that's what he said. And of course, Richard Palmer was forced to go back and reimagine what William said about Africa and Asia. Omen Scobie says below is an extract from Royal Reporter pool copy filed to UK papers and Press Association after he covered yesterday's visit. Being the only journalist there, Palmer's sole job was to share reporting to the outlets not present, that is. There would be no royal beat without the pool system. Okay? So that came from one of the royal rodents. The couple offered assistance from their charitable foundation for children and young people suffering mental health problems and trauma from the war, and said their eldest children, George, age 8, Charlotte, and okay. Anyway, Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for being here. Also, thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. Memberships are a bargain at just $4.99 each. So, on Africa Day, I would like to share this with you. It isn't even an African problem. It's a Prince William racist problem. Number one, Africa is 3 times the size of Europe and only 200 million more people. Number two, India is 11% the size of Africa and has 1 billion. Well, actually, India has way more than that now. And number three, China is 30% the size of Africa and also have over 1 billion people in their population. To give you a more dramatic image, well, you can see there on the left side, there is the continental United States, Portugal, Spain, France, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Ireland, Austria, Italy, Eastern Europe, all of Eastern Europe. There's also the islands of Greece, India, Japan, and so on. The United Kingdom, I believe, is roughly the size of Madagascar. No, not quite. I'm sorry, not quite. But anyway, as you can see there, this gives you the scale of Africa. The maps, the contemporary maps that we've grown up with, they don't do justice to the size of Africa because the African continent actually expands outward from the equator, which means that it bulges out, which gives you more landmass compared to the northern hemisphere, where everything tends to shrink down the further north it goes toward the North Pole. So there you go. And right here again, map of the true size of Africa. And you can see the United States up there in the corner there. There is Europe in the middle, and compared to India, Japan, and China. Massive, absolutely massive. Now, so where did you get all of this gold, Queen Elizabeth? Well, back in 1992, no, Your Majesty, we don't want to hear about your horrible year. I said, where did you get all the gold? Yeah, but I can't really speak if I don't speak about 1992. So, as I was saying, 1992, a year which I shan't look back upon with undiluted pleasure. The Queen couldn't say nothing if she didn't start off talking about 1992. But anyway, she went on to say what exactly, well, to answer the question as direct as possible. My family stole it from Africa. Oh, okay. I'm not doing my. Uh-oh, where's that coming from? Oh, no. All right. Where is that coming from? Oh, okay, that scared me. I started getting some actually, I accidentally clicked on, one of the things that I'm gonna share with you later. Anyway, so that's where the gold came from. They stole it. Now, also in relation to Africa, one of my favorite quotes from Desmond Tutu. This pretty much explains everything. When the missionaries came to Africa, they had the Bible and we had the land. They said, "Let us pray." We closed our eyes. When we opened them, we had the Bible and they had the land. Now, that is a very famous quote from Bishop Desmond Tutu, and very accurate, I might add. And of course, there is the Star of Africa, the largest diamond ever mined in history. And of course, and get this story. Have you guys ever heard the story? Let's see. Is it there? Let me see. As Queen Elizabeth II celebrates her 96th birthday today, note that she still owns the largest clear-cut diamond in the world, known as the Great Star of Africa. The 530 carat gem was mined and stolen in South Africa back in 1905 and had an estimated worth of about $400 million. Well, the story is that the manager of the mine was walking along with his walking stick and he thought he saw something shining, and he took his stick and dislodged it, and there it was, the largest uncut diamond in the world. Well, if you could believe that. And of course, the diamond was not very attractive in its natural state. And I believe it was Prince Albert who got tired of people making remarks about it on display at the whatever it was. So he had them cut it, and they managed to cut it down to several large pieces, including the one in the state crown, is it? And the one that's in the scepter. Plus, there's a brooch that the queen wears, which is known as the granny chips. And the granny chips is several smaller pieces of the diamond, which are still some of the largest diamonds that you've ever seen in your life, but gives you an idea of the scale of the original diamond. But there were several smaller pieces. They had this, the jeweler that cut the diamond studied it for months, thinking that he might shatter the diamond from the vibration of chopping at it. And anyway, it worked out. So, moving on, we're going to stay with Africa in a roundabout way. That, of course, is David Weissman, one of the people that is responsible. Actually, he is one of two people, I believe, that is responsible for bringing the Nigerian or Team Nigeria to the Invictus Games, right? And so David Weissman, who himself is a wounded veteran, um, took a very large bullet to the chest, and he likes to show off his X-ray, which shows this very large caliber bullet. I think it went around his body armor and lodged in his chest. I think it nicked the body armor and which slowed it down a bit and probably saved his life. But yeah, so you can see right there, I love that photo. It says, "Looks like I've been skipping arm day." Well, the caption he added to the photo is because there's a little girl that just did a fist bump with Harry. But when you crop the photo, it looks like David Weissman has this little cartoonish tiny fist and arm. So he shared that caption with the photo, which I thought was hilarious. So let me see. Oh, okay. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to hear this, but this is from the Right Royal Portrait, which of course is the Hello Magazine podcast. So if you want to hear it in its entirety, that's exactly where you would get it from. But I'm just going to share a portion of it with you. They interviewed David Weissman, and it was pretty cool. Oh my goodness, Barack Obama hair is so gray he is starting to look like Pop Staples. Oh, let me see here. Oh, ain't nobody. Okay, here we go.
David, thank you so much for making time to pop in and see us again. You've had an incredibly busy few weeks.
Okay, that wasn't loud enough. Let's try it again. I know a place. Oh,
Their biggest overseas trip together for quite a few years. So we wanted to catch up with David, who was with them every step of the way, and find out a bit more about their trip.
The inside scoop.
David, thank you so much for making time to pop in and see us again. You've had an incredibly busy few weeks. Starting with, the last time I saw you was outside St. Paul's Cathedral for the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games. Do you want to fill us in a little bit about what's happened since then?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a real pleasure to be back. Thanks very much for bringing me back into the studio. Yeah, no, we saw each other, Emily, on the steps of St. Paul's, beautiful sunny morning, where we had that really special service. I mean, what an honor to be invited into St. Paul's to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games, the Invictus Games Foundation. And I can't believe where the last 10 years have gone. I think I'm probably a little bit grayer than when we first started.
Don't we all?
Indeed. I'm not sure if I'm any wiser, but I'm certainly a bit grayer. It was a fantastic day, wasn't it?
It really was. You didn't pause to draw breath, did you? Because you went straight from there to Heathrow, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. So we went down, great service, went down into the crypt for a reception.
Mm-hmm.
I went straight from the reception, said some very rapid goodbyes on my way out, grabbed my suitcase and jumped on the plane to Heathrow. I had to be at Heathrow for 8:30, and I think the thing finished
that's a very quick
at 7,
turnaround.
half
Yeah.
7, something like that. So yeah, very quick turnaround. And flew out to Abuja that evening.
And then, as they say in journalism, what happened next?
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, flew out to Abuja, nighttime flight, got up the next morning, woke up in Nigeria, landed at 4:30 and straight into preparing for the Duke and Duchess, who were arriving the next day. So sort of last minute preparations, getting everything in order for their arrival for what would be, a 3-day whirlwind between Abuja and Lagos.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's been a lot of talk, as there always is whenever the Duke and Duchess are involved, of whether or not this was a royal tour, wasn't a royal tour. For context, it was around the Invictus Games Foundation that this whole trip came about. We talked about this earlier, and obviously that Meghan has this Nigerian heritage. So the two things sort of came together, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, who's to say? I mean, it wasn't an official royal tour.
No.
He's a private citizen. He was there by the invitation of the Chief of Defence Staff, but he's still a member of the royal family.
Yes,
So look,
yeah.
We can play with
It's
semantics.
splitting hairs.
Yeah, we can split
It's
hairs or
splitting
whatever,
hairs.
and that's not my position to do so at all. But he was there by invitation of Chief of Defence Staff. Nigeria is a place I've been working for the past 2 years now in my role as Director of International Development at the Invictus Games Foundation. We've brought Nigeria into the community of nations, and we're really, really proud that they've joined the Invictus Community of Nations. They competed first in Dusseldorf last year. I think in recognition of their success
Mhm.
at the games. Chief of Defence Staff went, hey, listen, this is absolutely fantastic. It's fantastic for our armed forces. It's fantastic for our veterans. You know, thank you very much, Prince Harry. Would you like to come over and we can celebrate this success together?
Okay, so if you don't recognize him, that is Derek. Oh, I always forget his last name, but the gentleman standing next to him on the left side, that is, I believe, is he from? Oh gosh, is he from Nigeria or is he from Ghana? I think he's Ghanaian. And there's Johnny Mercer there on the right photo. That, of course, is the defense minister of veteran affairs or what have you from the UK. And he's the one who desperately wants them to bring the games to Birmingham, which, of course, shockingly, most squaddies, including people from Birmingham, do not want them to come because they feel like it's a trap that they're going to try to. And even if it goes well, you know, there's going to be the antagonistic presence of the royal reporters and such trying to find every little thing they possibly can to complain about. So you know, I'm going to try to be positive and optimistic and say that if they do go to Birmingham, there's a possibility that it could heal a lot of wounds that are present within the royal family. I know the likelihood is not great, but again, I want to be positive. But if it does not happen, I'm just going to say it is not God's will. God is going to protect the Sussexes either way, and God is going to protect the Invictus Games. So trust Harry's judgment. Although he has recused himself from the decision making, it is a board of people that are going to decide. So that is the best way to keep your hands clean of it, is to have a board of directors or whatever and let them decide. So whatever happens, I am not afraid. I believe that things are going to work out for the best. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to swerve on the first lady's comments because I'm just going to wait and see. Like I always say, to me, it's not so important that I be the first one to talk about something, or that I just rather see what happens. So let's, talk about it amongst yourselves if you like, but I'm going to leave it alone because I don't want to add any unnecessary fuel to whatever happens next. So that's why I'm going to avoid that one. Let's do one more thing with Mr. Weissman.
The biggest overseas trip
Okay.
together for quite a few years. So
Let's do one more with him. And I do have another one here. So when he speaks about Meghan, that's the one that I'm looking for. He does say some things about Meghan. Is this one it or no?
And I hope you get a bit of downtime eventually. Not today, but it's coming. It's down the line for you.
Years it has been. So looking back at...
Okay, that's where he's talking about the downtime. I don't want that one. I'm looking for the one where he speaks about our Duchess. And how come I'm not finding that one?
It's come along in the past 10 years. We are...
Nope, that's not it. Give me 1 second. I want to try to make sure I find the right one. Oh, okay. That just must
To have that exposure of the culture and to learn a bit more about that, that must have been fantastic for her. I hope it was. She seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah. Just
okay.
it's the first really big overseas trip they've done together in quite a long time. So it really did guarantee eyeballs on it, didn't it? So
it had a bit of everything. It had like the fun dance moments because they danced in the school with the kids.
Yeah.
It had, the serious, obviously, engagements, and then I have to say the clothes and the fashion, obviously.
David's all over
which,
that.
David, you don't care
around
about.
in my jeans and polo shirt. I'm obviously a fashion aficionado.
How was your tour fashion? Did you?
Yeah, on point. On point,
I'm sure
I think.
it was.
Fashion
I'm sure it
forward, mate.
was.
I wonder, how does this trip compare to others that you've been on with the couple?
It's difficult to compare. Most of the stuff that I do is obviously always focused on veterans because that's the part of the wheelhouse that I work in. As other trips have been focused on veterans as well, where it's been with Invictus Games or what have you, it's been a resounding success. As we said. We started at Kaduna Hospital, very, very serious. And then we went to see Nigeria and Concord about the guys who are sort of a bit further on in their recovery journey. And then later on in the visit, there was that incredible announcement about the Invictus Centre that they're now planning, this incredible sports recovery facility that they're now planning and will hopefully breaking ground very soon. That narrative arc is just really encouraging for someone like me who, as I say, this was just a journey.
Okay. Oh, it buffered.
Of an idea 2 years ago.
Yeah, you must feel so proud.
And there's a power in these tours. There's a power in these visits. And I think it draws down to sort of like, what's the role of a modern royal? What's their role in today's society? And from my perspective, it is to use their positions of influence to catalyze, to be a force for good and to maintain positive change and support activity that helps others, whether that's in Britain, across the Commonwealth, or around the world. And they've got a duty and a responsibility to do that. And I think that what the Duke and Duchess have proven on this visit is they're doing exactly that.
I want to know, David, what did you do when there was downtime?
Okay, so David said there was very little downtime. So that was how he answered that one. That's his explanation of a modern royal. So you guys, I just want to remind you this. Harry and Meghan are not cowards. They put themselves at risk every time they do something that can be considered controversial, especially when it comes to the royal road. You can just hold your breath and they're going to come for them. So the mission is more important to them than whether or not everybody likes what they're doing. Like when Meghan addressed the what was the school that she used to go to, whatever girls' school it was, and she spoke about George Floyd, which, by the way, this is the anniversary of George Floyd's untimely death. But she spoke about that. And she said, yeah, things are going to get torn down. And when they do get torn down, then we have to rebuild it. Now, to me, that was probably one of the most, shall we say, bold statements that I've ever heard Meghan make. But she understands. She was speaking to the anger and what turned into, violence in the streets in some cases, violent protests and such. She was speaking to that, and she wasn't afraid to speak of it. So they're going to take their chances to do the work that's important to them. And for some people, they will never be able to do enough. And then there'll be some of us that are going to be kind of nervous that they're doing too much and that they're going to get stuck in a trap or something like that. But they're not hiding in a gated community. They are going out and they are working. And together, they're fulfilling their mission as philanthropists, as activists, if you will, as feminists. Um, and I suppose there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you could throw in there to describe what they're doing. Um, but they're doing the work. So don't be afraid. If they're not afraid to, put their toe in the water, please don't be afraid for them. Of course, you're going to feel whatever you feel, but don't be afraid for them. If you're afraid on your own, fine, but they're not afraid. They're doing what needs to be done. They're doing the work that needs to be done. And there's always a risk that comes with that. So, um it can be just as risky, obviously, to go to New York City as it would to go any place, especially you're traveling by air. You're going into strange places where you don't know people or whatever. You don't know who's your enemy in the crowd, but they're doing the things that need to be done. So I admire them for that. Instead of like retreating to the comfort of their home and being around a bunch of select friends and family, they're actually out there on the ground, as Meghan was excited to do when she married into that family. Meghan wanted to use her position, her platform to help people. And that doesn't stop because they have stepped back from official royal duties. So, um, like I said, don't be afraid for them. Let them do the work that they need to do. And and it's going to be all right. They're on the right side of history, and you supporting them, you're on the right side of history. Black Queen says, Baron, you're really not going to address the elephant in the room is sitting on your chest. I am wide awake tonight with the exasperation. Was looking forward to you discussing it. We'll wait till you're ready. Are you talking about the first lady? Is that the one? I mean, because I heard it. If that's what you're talking about, I heard it. And you know, one could interpret it in two ways, of course. And it's always uncomfortable for us to hear anybody use Megan's name, right? It's always uncomfortable. And I'm not sure where that was going, but it made me uncomfortable. I will say that it made me uncomfortable. And I was not very pleased by it. I'm just like, oh. But then, of course, you know that the royal reporters have been waiting for something like this. So that's why I said I want to take some time to see where it's going before we get deep into it. Um oh, and by the way, thank you so much for the super chat. Um yeah, it's I'm okay. Okay, for now I'm going to say this. It almost seems to me like there has been some elements, and I hope this is not true, but there may have been some elements somewhere that got tired of the excitement of Megan's presence. And that will happen from time to time, that people are just get tired of hearing your name and tired of the excitement and not pleased with the for lack of a better word, with the circus that comes with your presence. Meaning that there's a frenzy of activity. Like when you go to Cirque du Soleil, the one thing that you never forget about the Cirque du Soleil is the fact that while you're looking in one direction, you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then out the corner of your eye, you notice that everybody's looking the other direction, right? And there's a whole nother act going on. So that's what I mean by circus. When circus is not just clowns and elephants, circus is there's a frenzy of activity, and that's why they called it a three-ring circus, because while one ring is finishing, the other one is starting, and they're setting up for a third one. And so that's what it's like when the Sussexes are out and about. And so it may tend to rub some people the wrong way. And while I hate to believe, I don't want to believe that there might be some level of jealousy. I mean, I don't know that person that said those things. So I don't know that jealousy may have played a part in it, but um, especially when you saw the reception that they had. The well, can I ask this question of you all because I don't know the answer, but was the first lady at the women's what was it, empowerment or whatever that thing that the Sussexes sponsored? Was she there? That I don't know, but was she there? Was Meghan able to um I suppose attract a certain crowd, especially the younger generation, that maybe the first lady hasn't been able to connect with? I mean, it makes me feel, oh, so she wasn't there. It just makes me feel a bit queasy in my stomach when I think when my mind says, did she really mean that? You know what I'm saying? So it does make me feel a bit queasy when I think about it. And I'm hoping that that's not what that meant, but you can't unhear it either. You cannot unhear it. I mean, it was said, and especially when you hear Hollywood actress, right? The first thing I think about anytime I hear anybody say a Hollywood actress, of course, I think about that troll, Angela Latrine, because it doesn't ever sound to me as though it's a compliment or just a simple, you know, description. It seems like an easy way to not say someone's name in a situation like that. But then, of course, eventually we got to the name. What? Why did? Oh God, I hate to repeat it. Uh, what did she say? What did she come here for? What was she looking for in Africa? And I'm just like, oh my God, she went there. I hope not, but it seemed like she went there. So yeah, that was very uncomfortable. That was very uncomfortable. Yes, and the Met Gala, the Met Gala. Um, as though there's something wrong with the Met Gala. As an American, I am proud of the Met Gala. I'm proud of the fact that they celebrate the costume, the very permanent costume exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum in New York City. And the point of the Met Gala is to raise money to maintain part of our history. And those costumes are part of our history. That is the point of the Met Gala. It is lost on a lot of people because it's this gown and that costume. But the point of the Met Gala is for the preservation of history, of historic garments, clothing, articles of apparel. That is the point of the Met Gala. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with whomever is invited to show up to support it. So bringing that up, I didn't like that either, as though there's some kind of stigma if you are, and of course we know that the Sussexes have never gone. I believe Princess Diana has gone to the Met Gala, but Harry and Meghan has never been there. So why bring that up? Why bring that up? It almost seems like associating what you know. Oh, well, let me see. Look at a couple of your comments. Um, yeah, Mary H. It seemed like it may have been deliberate. Um, people that don't even watch the Met Gala has an opinion about it. And the explanation that I just gave for the Met Gala is something that even some of the people that go to the Met Gala probably don't even think about it. They just want to figure out, what am I going to wear? Yes, it is damaging or painful to hear the flagrant use of Meghan's name in certain conversations. Um, and of course, it is a testament to Meghan's popularity, as you know, her historic status in this world, that people will use her to make a point, but also people can abuse her to make a point. It could be also very abusive in the way some people use Meghan's name to make a point. And it's like I always say, every time someone, especially I hear this a lot in the Black community, whenever there's something that's needed, the first thing people say is, how come Oprah and them can't help pay for it? How come they don't get involved? Oprah could use some of that money for such and such and such and such. And so, as I have criticisms of Oprah, but I defend Oprah because she is, an example of Black excellence. And there's not enough examples of that. And so I don't like when even, Black people drag her name into something that doesn't have anything to do with her. And so when I hear that from someone, um, especially someone who is supposed to be in a position of respect, um, I don't like it. I do not like it at all. Yeah. And I don't and listen, it's not restricted to Black people, Black women, or Black men. The dragging someone's name into something. I did not like hearing they call me the Black Meryl Streep. Why are you bringing Meryl's name into it? They call me the Black Meryl Streep. Well, then pay me like I'm the Black Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep didn't bother you. Why are you bringing her name into it? I don't like that with anybody. If you have a credible case that you're trying to make, you don't need other people's name. Okay? And that may bother some people that I'm saying that about someone using Meryl Streep's name, but I don't like that when people drag another person's name into something to make a point, because it really cheapens what you have to say. It's as though your case is so weak that the only way you can make that case is to bring someone who wasn't even there into it. But any assertion that Meghan, a feminist, is leading other women astray, is there such a lack of tolerance in any given society that someone cannot wear clothing without being criticized for it? I mean, are we trying to say Meghan is dressed like a hoochie mama? Like some skeezer? Absolutely not. Meghan was not dressed for the Met Gala. Mm. Yeah. Oh, and when I say jealousy, it doesn't mean that someone is jealous of another person's appearance, but sometimes people can get jealous of the excitement that comes with someone that is um, very famous, right? So it's not appearance, it's not money, it's just the excitement sometimes can cause people to say the wrong thing or to say something uncomfortable. Yeah, I hear you, Carlene. I hear you. Mm, well, two things could be true. Doesn't have to be one or the other. It could be both. Yeah. And then also, there could have been a well, I'm not going to say courtier because that wouldn't be proper, but there could have been someone else who instigated those words. You know, someone who, um, or not just someone. It could have been a few people that kind of egged it on. Not to take responsibility away from the person who said it, but um, there's that to consider. There's also that to consider. Um, yeah, it started with the Derangers. It did start with the Derangers. I really do believe that. And honestly, I'm surprised it took this long. I'm really surprised it took this long. Yeah. Yeah. It's as someone told me one time, okay, nobody hurt you like your family. Nobody can hurt you like your family. She wanted to get something off her chest to her people and couldn't even deliver the message properly and intelligently. And then she invoked Princess Meghan's name, which she had no right in doing. Absolutely. Absolutely. She had no right to do that. And that's why I say if your message is so weak that you have to bring another person's name into it, I am never, ever comfortable with that. Say what you mean and mean what you say, but you don't have to throw somebody else's name in it. Uh, yeah, Harry and Meghan have a pretty thick skin. Um, and, you know, I could only speak for myself. If it's coming from my own family, it could be hurtful. If it's coming from someone I love as I love my own family, it could be hurtful. But if it's coming from someone that I'm not, you know, that connected to, not close enough to, then you know it just kind of rolls off my back like water on a duck. You know, like duck feathers. It just beads away, and it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But when it's the people closest to you, like for instance, um, Megan's father, or what's supposed to be a sister or brother, you know, that can be very hurtful. A best friend, that can be very hurtful. But for, you know, a politician's wife, or I don't know what she does professionally, I forgot. But you know, that's just politics. So I'm pretty sure that they're not going to let this bring them down. and it's not going to interfere with the important work that they're doing. Let me see. I am in a bad spot, so I'm just listening. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, Lisa. That is a very good point. Why not go after the tabloids that's putting your country down, that's dragging your country? Why not go after them? That is a great point. Yeah. Yeah, that is exactly what Meghan said at the South by Southwest. And it reminds me of what's been happening in the spaces on Twitter is that you have one set of Black women that have fallen out with another set of Black women. And with the challenges that there are in the world for Black people, and in particular, Black women, the most unprotected of humanity, you would think that we would avoid these things, right? But instead, it seems as though there's that some Black women have an agenda against other Black women. And that is very upsetting. That is very upsetting. Oh no, Susie Q, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. The way she did it is going to get really messy because people are going to have all kinds of interpretations, and most of them bad when it comes to the UK. Not good. Yeah. And that's, I guess I'm being a bit naive, hoping that it would just kind of go away, but it's not likely to. Um, it's going to be the chew toy, I'm afraid, for some of those people that get off on that stuff. So, but yeah, I could not. But yeah, you know what, the wisest thing that I've heard or that I've read this evening is it seems like somebody had something they wanted to get off their chest. Yep. Seems like someone had something they wanted to get off their chest. And the fact that they waited this long to do it means that they had some doubts for a while and decided, okay, time to make that move. Yeah, I believe it was Malcolm X who said that, the most unprotected. Well, and like I said, I'm surprised it took this long. I am surprised it took this long. I thought that there was going to be more pushback from within the institution. I am a bit blindsided by this one. I was not expecting this. Opportunists, possibly. And not to mention selfish. It was a very selfish thing to do. Vinny Blair says, notice it's always the people who have never met Meghan who hate on her. The first lady didn't meet her, hence she looks at her clothes and not the content of her character. Oh, very wise. Very, very wise. Thank you for that. You know, it's one thing when you hear a royal reporter say disparaging things. It's another thing when you hear something from a deranger. But it's almost as though the tone of it seems as though it's the implication is that there's something immoral about Meghan. That's the tone of it. Is that if you dress like that, if you're not, oh God, I hate to even say it, but it's almost the implication that there was some immorality. You know, there are some countries that you go to, and unless you go to, let's say, a mosque or something like that, they don't expect women from Western countries to cover their hair, right? They don't expect that. And then there's certain places where they do, no matter where you are. But if there's not um if it's nothing that is written into the law or whatever, then why even bring it up? And use Megan as a cautionary tale, as a cautionary for women, as though Megan, who has devoted her life to women's rights, are leading women astray, as though there's something immoral about Megan. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, she's going there. She's going there. Yeah, she mentioned American actress then Megan. Exactly. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's how you say it. And I don't know this woman, but it almost seems like she was a bit agitated. It almost seemed like she was a bit agitated. And it did have the tone of, I got to get this off my chest, and I'm going to do it right now. I have an audience, and I'm going to get this off my chest. Okay. I am convinced that she was saying that Meghan came all the way from America to experience that culture. I could hear that. I could hear that. But then I'm also hearing something else. I'm also hearing something else. And it was oddly worded in a way that you can take it one way or the other. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't very clear cut. It's as though you could take it one way or you could take it another way. Let me see. If I go to Africa, I don't want to see American culture and Africa. What is that? Yeah. unfortunately, Mimi, it is too easy to take the words out of context. That's the problem, is that the way it was worded, it's kind of easy to take it out of context. I think that, well, okay. The best thing to have, the best thing to do is to just leave Meghan's name out of it, and then there's no confusion. Leave Meghan's name out of it, and there's no confusion. And for all we know, it could have been a slight misuse of the language, maybe. I don't know. It's just better to leave Meghan's name out of it. Meghan was just there, right? Meghan has been an American actress. She's, taken a step away from acting, but Meghan is an American actress. And bringing up the Met Gala did not help. Even though, to the best of my knowledge, Meghan has never been to the Met Gala, but we do know that lots of actors do show up at the Met Gala. So the wording almost feels like a dog whistle. It almost seems like a dog whistle, parts of it. And that is the point of the dog whistle, is that it's not perceptive to everyone. Only a select few will be able to hear it. That's why they use the term dog whistle, is because for some people, you cannot hear it. And for other people, you cannot not hear it. That's the difference. So the truth is, we'll never know what the true intention was. But I saw someone who seemed to be exacerbated and very, I guess it almost sounded like someone was exhausted of the Western ways and Western values, or colonizer ways or colonizer values. That's seems like what I was hearing, is that there was some influence that may have occurred. But I tell you what, I will listen to it again, and I will listen with an open mind as much as possible, and try to see if it doesn't sound differently the next time I hear it. Thank you, TB. When you travel to Europe, one of the things that you cannot miss is the Roman Wall. Every European city south of Hadrian's Wall has some remnant of a Roman wall. And whether you go to Zaragoza, Spain, or you go to London, every place you go, everybody's proud of their remnant of the Romans, right? Let me see, where am I going with this? I guess my point is this, is that it is no, that's a bad example. But it was said, and that's all to it. Yeah, I guess I was a bit in denial, but then I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was in denial, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, it sounded very preachy, like someone was preaching about a cautionary tale, right? It seemed like a cautionary tale. and I heard someone warning about the lack of values, right? Oh, okay. I know what I was trying to say. When you go to Europe, there's the remnants of Rome, and there's these beautiful cathedrals. And those cathedrals are empty most Sundays, save for just a few people. You get more tourists that goes to those cathedrals than worshipers. And it frustrates people that nobody goes to church anymore. And when they built those cathedrals, I bet you couldn't convince them that one day they would become obsolete. And so there is a cultural war going on all over the world. And in the West, the lack of faith and the lack of birth rates seems to be a big problem, is that there's just not enough babies being born in the West. And of course, there's the conservative and the liberal culture war that's going on. In the US, it's abortion, transgender rights, and the ever-present civil rights, right? Black people's rights, civil rights. And I don't know what the culture war is in Nigeria, but I think I just heard part of it is the way people dress, a lack of modesty for women, right? And I did hear her say that the men are very well dressed, but the women, she didn't like the way women dress. And in that conversation of not liking the way women dress, Meghan's name was invoked. And no matter how she used her name, there, what is there, 9 billion people in the world? And a little over half of them are women. Why did it fall down on Meghan's name? Why not use someone else's name? Surely there is someone that is a celebrity, that is famous in Nigeria, that may have been better suited to warn the people of Nigeria. But instead, she used Meghan's name. So even if she didn't say anything bad about Meghan, she still used her name in the conversation, in this cautionary tale. That is a problem. Let me see. Okay, the less clothes I had on was too much. And okay. Well, thank you for that, Karen. Thank you. I don't know what her name is, but if you look up the First Lady of Nigeria, you'll find her. What does the Hollywood movies have to do with anything? She said people dress up the same in Nollywood movies for movie roles. Stop justifying the unjustified. First Lady was wrong. Thank you for that, Lady Rose. Yeah, I saw the video from what's her name? Alicia Kay. And she was like, please be respectful in the comments because it is a hot button issue. It's a very emotional issue. And it's going to it is going to bring an emotional response, right? Either way, it's going to be emotional. But for the abuse that Meghan has gone through all these years, for anyone, especially a Black woman who is given a cautionary tale about the values of society, whatever society it is, and then you bring Meghan's name into it, there's no way that that's not going to look weird. There's no way that that will not make some people very uncomfortable, especially for those who have been long-term supporters of the couple, and longer still, those who knew of Meghan from her Suits days. One of the easiest ways to attack someone in Meghan's position's character is to say actress. And it doesn't mean that Meghan is ashamed of having worked as an actress. Of course not. But it's just the way people use it sometimes. They seem to only bring it up when, well, not, I won't say that everybody brings it up like that, but when it has to do with someone like Meghan, it only ever seems to come up in a disparaging way. That's what I've noticed. That's what I've noticed. There's very little daylight between Angela Levin saying actress as what I heard in that conversation or that lecture. Doesn't seem to be a lot of daylight. And there's no way the First Lady of Nigeria is at all, you know, a despicable character like Angela Levin. Angela Levin is despicable. I don't know anything about the First Lady of Nigeria, but I just wish she would have left Meghan's name out of it, especially in a public forum like that. I mean, we just saw what happened at the Cannes Film Festival. We just saw that. And on the heels of that, there's this situation. When what is her name? The Trump woman, when she became First Lady. I will never forget hearing someone say, finally, some class in the White House. People were disgusted because Michelle Obama had the nerves to bare her brown skin by having her arms showing, right? How dare she? Yet, we've seen more of that Trump woman than we ever should have. We have seen more of her. I mean, completely naked. But there were people who looked at her and said, finally, some class in the White House. Finally. They didn't see Michelle Obama as having class. I wonder what the difference was. Michelle Obama with a double Ivy League degree versus a college dropout. But if I ever heard anything like that coming from a Black woman, first of all, I would feel really sad. I would feel really sad. And the thing about taking something out of context is that when something is deliberately said in the most deliberately ambiguous way, part of it is that it could have two different meanings, and you're left with trying to decipher it. Although, as Susie Q says, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And it didn't seem to me that it was said with kindness. It seemed to be a cautionary tale. Don't be like that actress. Don't dress like you're at the Met Gala. And for the past 2 weeks, I've been saying over and over again, I've never seen so many beautiful Black women in one space. But then you have something like this that puts a bad taste in your mouth. I have been so happy and so proud of Nigeria. Wasn't expecting to hear that from some high-ranking official. Wasn't expecting to hear that. Yeah, I want to allow for a language barrier. I want to allow for that. But again, um, unless she clarifies it, we can't really know. We can't really know. Let me see. Yeah, we as we know, the royal family, they do have a lot of influence. They just do. They have a lot of influence. And so I can't say with all certainty that the royal family is behind this. I just cannot say that with all certainty. But I would not be surprised either. I would not be surprised. And one of the reasons why I think that it's possible is because there is this very notable delay from the Sussexes' exit to today. What is it? 2 weeks to the day? 2 weeks to the day that they left. Um, Now we're hearing this. Okay. I heard that. So let me see. Okay. Yeah, and like Marshall, I'm old school. If you're using somebody else's name, you're really um, risking s- insulting someone, that person. If you're using their name, I think there's the risk of the insult. You know, and I'm gonna give another example. This is like I say, I don't play any favorites when it comes to the name calling or the naming of a person. Um, Amy Schumer made X amount of dollars, right? Pay me what you paid Amy Schumer. I don't care about Amy Schumer. I don't particularly like Amy Schumer, but I don't like using her name to justify something, especially if Amy Schumer ain't done nothing to you. Why are you bringing her name into it? That means that you cannot stand on your talent, right? And of course, invoking all of the um, disparity in pay for women, for Black women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that's a great way to build a case. And if that's all true, then why are you bringing Amy Schumer's name into it? That is the queen of name calling, that particular person. If you know, you know. And I cringe every time I hear somebody else's name come out of her mouth. I cringe. I cringe. I have like a physical reflex at hearing somebody do that. If you don't have enough conviction in your argument, if there's not enough merit to your argument, then maybe you shouldn't be arguing. Let's see, she has a case of not using her mind or thinking for herself. She believes what other people. Well, Phyllis Johnson, I was thinking that it sounds to me like someone, well, not actually sounds to me that way. I'm just going to say this. I felt like there was a strong possibility that someone was egging this on, right? That somebody was egging this on. And after all, um, Meghan is still an outsider. I have Nigerian blood, but I feel like I'm still an outsider. And if I went there and all of a sudden that's all people were talking about, there's going to be somebody that's going to come for me, even if it's not justified. And I get a strong feeling that somebody has heard Princess Meghan one time too many and decided to flex. Sound to me like somebody's flexing, and especially using her name means that somebody is flexing. Yeah, and this flawless Nigerian trip has suddenly been attacked, tainted, questioned, and from someone that nobody would suspect of doing so. That's the real rub, is that the person who's um, saying this, you would think that person would have enough tact and enough class to stay as far away from that as possible. That's what one would believe, is that I think that if someone in her position, the first lady of Nigeria, if she said that, she meant to say it. She meant to say it. Well, Joyce Anderson, the only remedy for that is just don't use Meghan's name. That's the remedy. Don't use Meghan's name. Thank you, Helene Ferris. It has been, and it will always be a very successful tour. But if you have the person who said to Meghan, you need to wear some brighter colors. Meghan did not use that person's name, and we don't know who said that to Meghan, and that's the way it should remain. So if this was a criticism, of Meghan, I don't think that it would be too difficult to speak directly to Meghan. Not for someone in her position. It wouldn't be too difficult. It seems to me like something that would have been better said direct. Yeah, Karen. You know, honestly, I didn't watch the entire video. I just kind of skipped through it. When I saw what the subject was, I was feeling very put off by it, and so I chose to just kind of skip through it. But I did hear at the end where when she was like saying, be very respectful with your comments and such. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is going to be a pretty hot topic, right? I still wasn't sure yet, but I did know enough that I was going to avoid talking about it for a while until things make more sense, right? And I always want to believe the best in humanity. I want to believe the best in my people, right? As a person of African descent, I always want to believe the very best because of the way Black people have been persecuted uh, in the world for the past, I don't know how many hundreds of years, right? Written out of history that we helped create, not given credit for things that we've done, and of course, the many lies that have been told about us as people. So I'm very sensitive. And when I hear one Black person disparaging another Black person, especially when one would believe that as a Black person, we know how these things can be twisted, you know, just by saying Meghan's name, whatever her intention was, by using Meghan's name, and with social media being what it is, with the Royal Rota being who they are, it's just too much risk involved. So I'm assuming that this is an intelligent person who would know better. I'm assuming. But you cannot use a person's name without assuming the risk. And it was a risky thing to do, especially given the topic of modesty. And in that conversation, you bring up the Met Gala, you bring up actress, you bring up, the young girls that could be influenced by this, and how she feels disappointed by them exposing so much of their flesh. And Meghan's name is in this conversation. There's no way that you're not risking something by doing that. So let's say that she had nothing but good intentions. It was still very risky to do that. Esmeralda Dillon, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Thank you, Carlene Beckford. Yeah, Val Climate. Yeah, and as a public person, you know, we have watched Harry dance around certain things to avoid being stuck in conflict, right? He was very artfully able to mention his father after he went on that 24-hour visit without saying anything wrong. And yet, because he brought his father, I mean, because what's his name brought his father up, what happened? People started giving Harry the side eye. The people that heard what we heard, did we hear Harry say anything wrong about his father? No. And yet, they used it as a weapon against Harry because he brought his father up in the first place. And to avoid that, the best thing to do is to not talk about it. You can see Harry was uncomfortable. He didn't say anything wrong, but that's not the point. Because he's replied to this guy, they were able to use that against him. So knowing how these things work, the First Lady of Nigeria should have known better. That if you use Meghan's name in this conversation about modesty, morality, or whatever the case, Meghan is American. The Met Gala is an American institution. Put 2 and 2 together, what do you get? Grievance, it was purposely done. Why I do not know. Stupid. Yeah. Thank you, Reba. Oh, let me see. It did not matter. They wanted to talk to him about his dad at the oh yeah, they wanted him to talk about his dad at the NFL honors, right? So there was no winning that one for Harry. There was no winning that. But you know what? I'll say this though. King Charles III is Harry's father. So Harry responding to something about his father is more justifiable than the first lady of a country who happens to also be a woman of color not responding, but just speaking out. That was unnecessary. That was unnecessary. Could have said whatever she needed to say without using Meghan's name. And especially given the climate that we're in right now, the hyperbolic negativity that has been directed at Harry and Meghan. Yeah. Well, to your point, they are taking this show on the road, and this is not going to discourage them or stop them from doing the work that they have promised themselves, each other, and the world that they're going to do. Nothing is going to stop that train. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say this again. I'm hearing a bit of a dog whistle. I'm hearing a bit of a dog whistle. One of the more sinister things about British racism compared to American racism is that American racism is pretty much in your face. With the British, it is very covert, right? It's not that we don't have dog whistles here. We have plenty of them and plenty of people that know how to use them. But it was very artfully done to speak about modesty and then to bring Meghan's name into it. If her intention was to disparage Meghan, then I would say mission accomplished. And if that wasn't her intention, she needs to be more careful how she invoke other people's names. Full stop. She needs to be very careful about how she invokes other people's names. Because a public person, they don't have a enough room to make those mistakes. That you have to carefully craft your words so not to create problems. It's not fair, but that's the world we live in. Rosalind Gatewood says, Barron, if you look at the picture of the First Lady was given some strong stares at Meghan, I could see jealousy in her eyes. There were a few more that were not happy with her being there. Yeah. You know, I did not see that picture, but I could believe it. I could believe it. Because it seems that the tone of it to me is jealousy, a level of jealousy, right? Folks don't like people too proud and too free. Color purple. Folks don't like people too proud and too free. And Meghan is very free. And she's proud of the work that she does. And she should be. Let's see. Karen, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But Carla Johnson says the Nigerian aunties will handle her. Thank you, Carla. I trust my aunties. I trust the aunties. The aunties are a force. And you know what, y'all? I'm so glad you said that, Carla. Listen. Meghan had a wall of aunties surrounding her. And so we do have to remember that no matter what this person said, and of course, it is the big question mark was, well, for some people, there's going to be that question mark. Exactly what did she mean? What was she trying to say? And for some people, it is no question that it was wrong or that the intention was bad. But whatever the case may be, the aunties were there for Meghan. The aunties were there for her. And I don't ever want to forget those images. I don't want to forget how Meghan received so much love from people that know her. They know of her work. They know what her intentions are, and they gave her nothing but love and respect. So that one situation where somebody is given this very breathy speech about something that has nothing to do with Meghan or shouldn't have anything to do with Meghan, don't let that discourage you, because the aunties got her. Yep. Can't nobody hurt you like your family. Can't nobody hurt you like your own. Wait, what was that? Simi says, Black Queen, I tried explaining what I felt the First Lady was trying to imply. You took it another route. You took it down another route. Stay blessed. Okay, I don't know what that's about. I'm going to stay out of it. Anna Boyd, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for being here tonight. Remember, the First Lady is not exactly Saint Mungos herself. Her husband is literally hijacked the election. And there's also a lot of controversy about the budget was spent on being dedicated. Oh, okay. In other words, politicians, because all politicians are alike. They are all alike. The only honest president that I know of in my lifetime is James Earl Carter. Take that however you like. But that's the only honest president that I know of. I can't speak for the others, but James Earl Carter is an honest man. That's my opinion. Yeah, and they're going to continue to do that work. They're going to continue to do that work. Harry and Meghan is not going to be put off or discouraged by the stuff that was said. They're not going to be put off by that. Let's just go through these again, shall we? You know, when people are using your name like that, that means you're doing good. That means you're doing some good work. If somebody's taking your name in vain, that means you're making an impact. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I mean, I'm saying that if the games are meant to be there, it's going to happen. But um, do you think maybe that's what was behind it? Was to try to discourage them from coming back? And you know, it also seems like once again somebody is telling Meghan to be half of herself. Somebody is saying to Meghan again, can you tone it down? Can you not be so Meghan? It does seem to me that they're trying to make her trying to push her back into the shadows. Yeah, which is exactly and you know what? If you all have any of these images saved, go to them. Go to those images and try not to be discouraged by that. And still, I have to say, this was one of the most beautiful things I ever seen in my life, where was all of them gathered there like that. I loved it. What's that? You are in my mind. Number one reason why I am. Let me see. That is the number one reason why I'm so disappointed. I'm sorry. Huh? Oh, okay. I'm not sure what that means, but all right. Oh, okay. I get you. I get you. Thank you. Well, and you know, one of the great things about having a partnership like the Sussexes have is that you always have someone in your corner, no matter what. No matter what the world says or does, they have each other and they lean on each other in those moments. Oh, I love this right here. I really do love that. Yes, Black Queen, you better preach it. Meghan and Harry are resilient. They, especially Meghan, have suffered insurmountable obstacles. However, she is a human being, somebody's child. It's not right for her 8 years demonization. Here, here. I still, I am so proud of the Sussexes. I'm so proud of Nigeria. I'm not going to let this discourage me because I saw a side of Nigeria that I didn't know was there. That I mean, I knew that it was possible, but I'd never seen it. Right? I'd never seen it before. So I'm so glad for that. Okay, okay, I could take a hint. I could take a hint. Thank you for that. Okay.
Bitter. And you know, somebody needs to say it. Bitter. Bitter, bitter, bitter.
Somebody needs to say it. Thank you for that. Oh, thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here. Yeah. Once again, somebody is saying to Meghan, be half of yourself. Can you not be so, what did they tell Meghan? And Meghan's like, I've only been out twice in the past 4 months. And the fact that people were writing about her day after day. And I had a problem with a friend of mine that I love and adore who had the nerves to say that Meghan and Harry are too overexposed and that they need to. And I told him, I said, listen, I don't know if you're going to believe this, but we have barely seen Meghan for 2 months, right? And this is when they came to the US while they were in California. We haven't seen her for 2 months. And Meghan comes out, she does a few things, and then we don't see her for a long time. And in spite of me saying that, that was not the experience that this person had. He assumed that Meghan was constantly saying things, constantly in front of a camera. And so when they tell those lies about Meghan, it's easy to believe it because if it wasn't true, then why would they be saying these things? Why are they always talking about her? I don't have an explanation for the hate campaign, but it is rooted in jealousy. That is for sure. Some Kensington Palace jealousy. That's where it's rooted from is Kensington Palace jealousy. And so for that reason, in order to elevate the haters, you have to keep trying to tear Meghan down. And by default, because he's married to Meghan, you have to keep going after Harry too. Let me see. I have to say it's not a good message, in my opinion, to preach that women should be of one kind. Anyway, we don't all want and should mimic each other, promote diversity. Hear, hear. Promote diversity. Oh, by the way, you guys, the pilot that I mentioned yesterday, the woman that's Teresa, is it Claremont or whatever her name is, Claymore, whatever it is. She didn't know that she was the first Black woman to become a pilot with the Air Force. She didn't know that. When she became an Air Force pilot, she had no idea that she was the first. She found out about 2 weeks after she graduated. And I do believe she said that she was glad she didn't know because there would have been that extra added pressure. And she didn't know that she was not only graduating, but that she was stepping out of class and into the history books. Representation matters, and also diversity matters. It is good to have diversity. Our strength is our diversity. If we were all alike, the intellectual side of society would be so diminished. One of the problems that they have in places like Japan and Korea is that everybody is fighting so hard to fit into a certain mold or become part of a template that they don't have as much imagination as they should, because they're trying to stay on this line. They don't have as much diversity. They're very monolithic societies. And it's not to say that there's not creative people there. Of course there is. Some of the best art ever has come from Japan. But you also have to have diversity. Let me see. This must be very, very hard for Mama Doria to see such hate and jealousy directed at her child. Doria must be a praying woman to keep her sanity. She does yoga too. She also does yoga. Okay. Let me see. No, if Harry and Meghan were still working royals, this was a royal visit. Yeah, nothing would have been said about it. Nothing would have been said. And you know what, Marshar? And it's just the opposite for Harry and Meghan, in that Harry's own family, and that's only when it's not Meghan's family, but Harry's own family are the ones that usually instigate the negativity directed toward them. As someone once said, the calls are coming from inside the house, and yes, it is. Yes, it is. But it does seem like one of those royal family dirty tricks, one of those things that they pull when they see that there's too much momentum on the Sussexes side. All of a sudden, things start happening. Good night, Maggie. Yes, they do. And also the textile industry that they have. Who knew that they had such a large textile industry in Nigeria? Could you imagine what Meghan is capable of doing for the textile industry? Could you imagine? Especially once Meghan's cooking, her lifestyle show starts. If Meghan wears a couple of things from the Nigeria trip, if she uses that fabric from the Nigeria trip, could you imagine what it would do for the textiles? But none of that was considered when somebody decided to you know, get some things off her chest. Oh, what's that, Vinnie Blair? She's used to being top dog in Nigeria, and for 3 days she had to take a back seat. She was a senator and first lady of Lagos State, and now of Nigeria. I can see her being, what is the word? Hold on. I can see her being
bitter. And you know, somebody needs to say it. Bitter. Bitter, bitter, bitter.
Hey, girl, sit down. Sit down. Sit down.
Okay, somebody needs to sit down. Let's see, Baron Howard, they are heavy barriers against African textile exports. Is it really? I did not know that. I did not know that. But still, if there's a demand there, that's a step in the right direction is to expose more people to it. Well, let's just hope and pray that there won't be this big avalanche of negativity that comes from this. And that's the only reason why I wanted to avoid it, is because I certainly didn't want to be a part of it. And you guys probably noticed that there's certain things that happen, and it's not as though I'm not aware of it. It's just, I'm avoided, hoping that it won't expand into something worse. And so let's just hope that this kind. I think this all started about 12 hours ago, something like that. And it's just like the guy that the owner of the airline, they love the idea that they can make something out of that, knowing that the Sussexes, and also credit to Harry and Meghan, that even if they did know about it, they were a guest in Nigeria, and there was an airline that could take them from point A to point B, and they did what Nigerians do every day. They took, what is it, Air Peace or Peace Airlines or whatever. Um, they did what everybody else is doing, but they're not going. They're Harry and Meghan are not going to cower behind the idea that somebody may not like the way they move or what they do or what they say. They certainly are not going to take the coward's way out of it. When it is necessary to do things, they're going to do what they have to do. And just like going to Nigeria, of course, they know that this is going to be considered a royal tour. And that was a lot of risk. Even though they were showered with love and gifts and such, it was very risky because the raft of the royal family, the royal rota and the courtiers and everything, that was something that they were going to have to face. But the only alternative is to hide behind the walls of a gated community, and that is just not feasible. They are not going to hide. They got work to do. They have their strength of conviction. They believe in what they're doing, and they're not going to be discouraged because somebody may have something negative to say about it. And God bless them for staying on the path and staying on message instead of cowering behind the fear of what may be said or what may be done. They're moving. They're going to keep on keeping on, and I admire them for that. Meghan can be a bit feisty when she wants to. Usually she avoids that, but you know, she can be very that way when it comes to doing what's right. Yeah, you have to go back and listen to her George Floyd comment to know what I'm saying. I was kind of surprised. She's like, yeah, and if something gets torn down, then we have to build it up, and we have to keep building it until things are right. I'm like, go Megan. Let me see here. Yeah. Thank you for that, Kim Peaches. Is that the first lady has no soap world stage? So it was foolish to say otherwise. Yeah. Oh, you think so? I don't suspect she will apologize, but let's see if she walks it back in any kind of way. Yeah, let's see if she decides to try to walk it back. Thank you, Robin Hyde. Okay, you guys, it's been 2 hours. I had some other stuff to cover, but we'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow, and let's see, and you guys should thank Black Queen for this morning, because I was definitely going to skip by it, but Black Queen decided that was not possible, so it was the right call. I'm going to just say that it was probably the right call. Baron, her daughter is a model in the U.S. Are you serious? Her daughter is prancing around people, around people in the West? Really? Ain't that a kick in the rubber parts? Get out of here. I couldn't imagine that. You sure she's not like an engineer or a doctor or something like that? She's a model? Let me see. Mm, I never really I've never really looked at her before, but yeah, she looks a little shady. The first lady looks a little shady. Oh yeah, she looks a bit shady. Uh she looks a little shady. I can see some shade, y'all. I'm seeing some shade. Mm. Well, I don't want to put any mojo on nobody, but I sure hope we never see any of her kids twerking on Soul Train. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Let me see. Workshy will check. Thank you for the super chat. My. All right, so I'm looking for the daughter. What is this first lady of Nigeria first lady defends wedding amid drowning row? What is that about? Is this the current first lady? Oh my goodness, what is that about? How old is this? What? Well, you know what? I'm going to do some research. Not that I'm going to say anything about her again, but I want to look into her character to see who she is, because now all of a sudden she seems very interesting to me. Well, this is from 2020. Was she the first lady in 2020? Um, ooh, she looks shady. She looks shady. Oh, well, at least I'm not following her on Twitter. That would have been weird. What I want to do is take a look at her comments to see if anybody is getting her together. Wow, somebody says, story for the gods. We only listen to our Duchess and Princess, the 43% Nigerian princess of Ara Chukwu, Meghan Markle. This is what somebody posted on the First Lady's Twitter account. Oh, okay. Yes, this below is really bad. I'm wondering if this model, I heard this is someone's daughter. Oh my goodness. You all, this is about to get messy. You all know this is about to get messy. But this is biological daughter. Worry about your own daughters. Mandate. First lady, never be. Mandate. What is that? Wow. Wow. Huh. Okay, you guys, this is going to get interesting. No, I don't want to take anything and share it from here. At least not yet. Not yet. I want to do some research because I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And of course, there's some people that are coming for Meghan. And the post isn't even about her speech, but people who got something to say. And that cannot be her daughter, but I keep seeing the same picture over and over again. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I just charity begins at home, Madam Remy. Your children have already loosened their identities and forgot who they are. So go home and clean your home before coming to lecture Nigerians. Tell your husband that he must collect for bringing poverty and suffering to our lands, allegedly. My goodness. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I am going, y'all know what I'm going to stay up and do tonight. I am going through the social media. Wow. Habitat Tinubu, meet Bola Tinubu's daughter, the gay rights activist. Oh, oh, yes. It's social media, so I don't know where these people are from, but I'm going to imagine that some of these people are Nigerians. But this model that is her daughter, I wish you could see what she's wearing. I don't think this is Vera Wang. Okay? I don't think that's Vera Wang. It looks like Vera Wang Dang, but it ain't Vera Wang. And of course, Dan Wooten has gotten a hold of the story. Nigeria's First Lady, Reno Tinubu, appears to take a swipe following Meghan Markle's recent visit to the country, slamming Hollywood culture of nakedness. See what happens? That's called giving aid and comfort to the enemy. So if that is her daughter that I'm looking at, she's saying this stuff about Meghan, but her daughter seems to be a little south of being a Girl Scout. That's for sure. Oh, y'all, they coming for her. They are coming for her. Yeah, and I don't know the girl. I don't know her daughter. I don't know her, but I see some derangers have gone onto the what do you call it? I see some derangers are. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you to the squatty that sent me this. Nigeria has banned the processing of minerals resources abroad. Mining companies will have to process minerals locally. Oh, thank you so much for that. I didn't even see that, but thank you. We are not having the Met Gala. We're fashionable people. We're not having the Met Gala. They're trying to look like and emulate film stars from America. They don't know where they come from. Why did Meghan come here looking for Africa? That's weird. That is weird. We know who we are and don't lose who you are. And see, she's going to get a lot of people, a lot of the derangers. They're going to get a lot of derangers filling up the comment section, giving her the verbal high five and encouragement. And by the way, those were not prepared remarks. She was just speaking off the cuff. Oh, you see it. I like the studded thigh-high boots. That is a look, isn't it? I was just saying to someone the other day, how come we don't see more studded thigh-high boots? But thanks to the First Lady's daughter, we'll never have to go without again. I mean, come on. If you've seen one pair of studded thigh-high boots, you've seen them all. But I've never seen them on the first daughter. Never. Oh man. Well, at least people are telling her to look in her own backyard. That's for sure. Oh, you all, it's unfortunate. I just I hope that going forward that someone in that position will just leave Meghan's name out of their mouth, and that will take care of this in time. Just leave Meghan alone. It's not that difficult. Although the temptation is there, just leave Meghan out of it. If you can name Meghan, then you can name the nakedness of the Hollywood actress. Name the actress, or was that the actress? Yeah, if you're going to throw names out there, you might as well throw them all out. You may as well throw them all out. Okay, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up. It's been 2.5 hours. Yes, she is. She is. Okay. What's that? Yes, Black Queen. Yes, absolutely. And the amount of damage that causes in terms of skin cancer and organ failure. There's heavy metals and God knows what else in those bleaching creams, and there seemed to be an epidemic of that. I mean, there's just so many things that someone could focus on without bringing up modesty or or bringing up the Duchess of Sussex. There's so many other things that you could talk about since we're freestyling and going on a big rant about something. There's other things that you can talk about. That's why I like that actress from Bridgerton, the what East Asian actress, whatever her name is, with the brown skin. The fact that she leans into her skin tone instead of running away from it, I think is very impressive because it really goes against the grain, and that shows strength of character that she leans into it. Good night, Elaine Parker. Okay, good night, everybody. I'm not going to do a long ending tonight. Going to go ahead and get off, but I'm going to do some research. And what am I saying? I'm going to, by the way, thank you, Black Queen. I'm going to be up and be messy tonight, going through some the comments and everything, because I do mean there's a lot of it out there. I want to get all the juicy bits.
Hey, girl, sit down. Sit down. Sit down.
All right. Okay. Love you guys. That was our last word for the day. Sit down. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, moderators. I will see you all tomorrow. And let's close with Once Upon a Time.